do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. Today, we got two different topics that we're going to talk about. So the Ringer and their top draft analyst, Kevin O'Connor, dropped their new 2024 mock draft. Now, I saw who went number one in this, and I was like, okay, I got to sit down. I got to do a full reaction podcast for this. So we're going to be reacting to the Ringer's mock, and then I'm also going to give my conference tournament predictions. Kind of a casual look on like college basketball. I mean, I followed enough where I know what's going on with the top prospects, but if they don't really have a top prospect, I'm not really following them too much. Like I would say like this year, I don't know much about like South Carolina, for example. Good school, might have some prospects in the 2025 draft, but I don't think I was following them closely enough for this year. But so it's going to be like a casual listen. If you guys want to listen to that, that'll be after I react to this mock. So we can get right into this. Thank you guys for all the support on the past couple episodes. And if you guys are enjoying this, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. If you're new to, drop it a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would really appreciate a rating and review over there as well. So we could start things off with the number one pick. This is what I saw on Twitter. Reed Sheppard going to San Antonio. So he basically wanted to do a mock where the Spurs get the number one pick. Now, if the Spurs get the number one pick, I don't think it'd be Reed Sheppard. I don't think there's a single team that would take Reed Sheppard 1. I'm kind of also finding it hard to think if there's a team that takes Reed Sheppard 2. Now, there could be a team that takes him 3. Maybe they like his style of play a little bit more than Nikola Topic. But I do think the versatility and the positional value of Alex Sarr and Zachary Sachet are both probably going to get them the honors of number 1 and number 2 in this 2024 draft. I don't think it's going to end up being Reed Sheppard, who is a great prospect. He's very efficient. There's some teams I would really like him on, and San Antonio is one of them. I just think at 1 is a little bit rich. I think we could maybe see if they get number 1 and they really like Sheppard, maybe this is something that happens like what the Celtics did in 2017. They trade down from 1 to 3. I'm not saying Reed Sheppard is Jason Tatum, but I think it could be something like that as well, because I think Sheppard number 1 is kind of crazy when you can pair up Alex Sarr with Wembanyama there in that front court and have just like two twin towers defensively that could both space the floor. Or you could have Reed Sachet, who can also be a stretch 4 and could be a nice spot up shooter for Wemby as well. So obviously this pick is going to be who you're building around Wembanyama. I think Sheppard though is a little high for number 1. I will say so myself. So number 2, he's got the Detroit Pistons taking Zachary Sachet. I'm cool with this pick. I think I'm trying to figure out who I'd like better going 1, Sarr or Reed Sachet to the Spurs. I'm like a Sarr or Reed Sachet guy, but I see the vision with Reed Sachet, and I think I like him going to the Pistons over Alex Sarr because I wonder about the fit between Jalen Duren and Alex Sarr going forward. And I think Reed Sachet could be a nice complementary piece, nice floor spacer, a good shooter, somebody that's maybe not going to be reliant on his shot creating ability. Will his handle be able to translate to the next level? Because he's, I think, got a little bit of a slower style of play, but hey, we've seen that work for some of these European prospects. That could work for Reed Sachet, but I think you're building around Jaden Ivey, you're building around Cade Cunningham, you're building around Jalen Duren, and then you obviously have some other filler pieces like Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser, obviously Asor Thompson defensively, and I think getting a floor spacer is valuable here because Cade has developed into a very good three-point shooter. I think quicker along than I thought he would. Jaden Ivey has still some struggles, but I think he'll be fine shooting the ball eventually. We know we're not going to get much shot out of Jalen Duren. We'll see about Asor Thompson's development with his three-point shot, but I think getting a good like shooter right away and Reed Sachet is probably key for them as well. So Sheppard 1, Reed Sachet 2, kind of crazy, right? So here we go. Number 3, we got Alex Sarr going to the Memphis Grizzlies. I like this a ton for them. I think like maybe if I was doing this mock, I would have just swap Sarr and Reed Sheppard because I would also like Reed Sheppard a ton to Memphis. I also like Ron Holland's fit at Memphis as well. But Sarr next to Jaren Jackson Jr. is a lot of fun. And you could say that, but why not just put Sarr next to Wembanyama? Kevin O'Connor, don't really get that. But having the ability to put Sarr at the 5 or the 4 and vice versa with Jaren Jackson Jr., I think would be insane for this team. And like a Grizzlies team that has a ton of talent. They were a 2 seed last year. Yes, they lost in round 1 to the Lakers, but they were still a respectable team, and they would have been this year if Ja Morant didn't get suspended and hurt. Desmond Bane got hurt. Marcus Smart got hurt. Jaren Jackson Jr. I feel like has been back and forth with some injuries. Steven Adams was out for the year. Like this team has had so many injuries this year, and they could pair up Sarr, who is a good rebounder right away, a good rim protector, and could play next to Triple J. And that would honestly get me excited, Alex Sarr, in Memphis for sure. So two French prospects kind of going in the top 3, which French, man, they're taking over the NBA. So we have Stephon Castle, number 4 to Washington. I don't like this pick. I'm not a big fan of Stephon Castle right now, or at least as a lead ball handler. Now, the fact that he's like an important part of the UConn's offense for them being the best team in college basketball this year, or right up there, is obviously like a testament to his ability, and he's still just 19 years old that he's doing this, playing with a lot of older guys like Tristan Newton, like Cam Spencer, Alex Caravan, even Donovan Clingan's a sophomore for this team, and he has shown right away that he has got no fear. He's a good rebounder, he can cut, and I don't know, though, about the handle. Is he going to be a lead ball handler? Is he going to be the floor general for a team? If so, then I don't hate this for UConn, for the Wizards. But I think right now, I don't know if I view him as a lead ball handler. I think I view him more of as a wing, and I wonder how crowded that kind of area could be with Denny Avdia, with Corey Kispert, with Bilal Coulibaly, with Kyle Kuzma, if he's still on the team. But I think the way this draft has fallen, with Reed Sheppard off the board, I don't know, because like there's not a big here that you would want since they moved Daniel Gafford. I think you'd probably move down for a big if you're in like the Donovan Clingan, Kyle Filipowski tier of prospects, Khalil Ware, Tyler Smith. But I don't know. I guess it really depends if you're going to bring back Tyus Jones, because I think Castle could play well, like much better, and could fit better next to Tyus Jones than somebody like Nikola Topic can. And no, Nikola Topic, I think, is an obvious pick here. I like Rob Dillingham a lot as well, just because at worst he's going to be a really good shooter for a team in the NBA. I like Isaiah Collier a ton as well, because he's, I think, more of a score first guard, and that could be beneficial. And I got to dive more into like the Stephon Castle tape, and obviously we're going to see how he could play throughout the Big East tournament, throughout March Madness, because we expect them to make at least a Sweet 16 appearance, at least. And he's definitely going to be, I think, a polarizing prospect, because I know some people have him in the top 5, but I think also some people have him at the back end of the lottery, and that's kind of like, I'm like right in the middle of that point right now. But it's going to be interesting to see where his value is come June. Next up, we have Ron Holland going to the Charlotte Hornets at number 5. I don't hate this for them at all. I think they definitely need to go somebody a little bit more defensive minded if they can, and Ron Holland is going to be one of the better perimeter defenders in this draft. He's not Ryan Dunn defensively, he's not Devin Carter maybe defensively, but I think he's right up there with those guys for sure. The 3-point shot obviously is going to be a key, and then if he's not hitting that, you could have him and Mark Williams out there together. You're going to kind of get played off the floor a little bit, because they're not going to be able to space the floor. Could get a little crowded unless they have a knockdown shooter at the 2. Obviously, you got Brandon Miller, you got LaMelo Ball. I was still a big fan of Nick Smith, so we'll see how he could be in year 2. But I think Holland here, the way this draft has fallen, I think I like Holland over Buzelis. I do still. Rob Dillingham to Charlotte's a weird fit, so I get not doing that. Same with Isaiah Collier. So I could get this. I think. I like Nikola Topic too. I don't think I would have him go to Charlotte. And he's got Montes Buzelis going to Portland at 6. Now, I don't think they should be a Nikola Topic team either, or Rob Dillingham team, but interesting to see that Topic and Dillingham, two guys that could realistically go in the top 5, are not even in the top 6 for Kevin O'Connor right now. And I think Portland does need to address wing or big here. So I don't mind them taking a chance on Buzelis, who is 6'11". He's pretty skinny. He's going to definitely have to put on weight, but if he can develop a good jumper, he's going to be very versatile as a forward that can handle the rock. That's 6'11". Doesn't even look like he is 6'11" out there, but he is, because he's just very quick with the ball in his hands, and that could definitely be appealing. But we got to see if he can develop a shot at the next level. But he's been better for the Ignite a little bit as of late shooting the ball. Whoa, Tijon Salon, number 7. That's high. So San Antonio gets Salon and they get Reed Sheppard. So they got to end up with one French prospect, right? Yes, there could be 3 top 10 French guys. I like Salon. I don't hate him to San Antonio, just at 7. So this is like the best pick that they could get if the Raptors pick doesn't go to Toronto, because it's top 6 protected. All right, this is interesting. I think at this point, I would just go Rob Dillingham. I think I would just go both Kentucky guards. Or there's like an argument for Nikola Topic 1 to San Antonio. Why don't you just get Nikola Topic at 7? So I like Salon to the idea of him to San Antonio. I just think with Nikola Topic, definitely Nikola Topic, but with Topic and Ron Dillingham still on the board, I don't like Salon to the Spurs there at 7. Dillingham going to the Rockets at 8 with, Fred VanVleet's not on the longest contract in the world. TBD on Jalen Green. Could be a Rob Dillingham pick. I think like even going back to 7 or 6, maybe even 5. Like no Jacoby Walter in the top 8, which is interesting. He's kind of turning into, I'm not going to say he's my top college guy, because I think like it was Cody Williams. Now I'm like in between Williams, Sheppard, and Dillingham, but I've always been a big Dillingham guy. because of his shot making ability and his floor spacing ability. And he would be really good in Houston. I'm just wondering the fit. Like, could they use another guard, right? Like, this could be more of a depth play. This pick is from Brooklyn. Maybe target big here. Like, Salon's off the board. I get that. Maybe target Filipowski here. I know you don't really want to draft a backup at pick 8, but if Fred VanVleet's going to be there for the next couple seasons, if you're committing to Jalen Green and Amen Thompson, maybe go for, I think, like another, I don't know, they could use for a backup point guard. But then, I don't know. It's weird, but I like Dillingham to the Rockets. It's just like a weird fit of having him go 8. Nikola Topic 9 to the Jazz. I mean, this is, I think, a pipe dream. I know he's been hurt this year, ever since he kind of got translated over or started playing Euroball. But I think, man, like his film at Red Star is pretty good. I think he's a good modern point guard. He's 18 coming over. He's 6'6". Yeah, we're going to have to worry about the jumper a little bit. But I think the playmaking ability is there. I don't think he's like a Luka Doncic type prospect where the game is going to be so slow for him and he's going to be one of the best passers right away. I think 9 is low. I think he has a better chance to go 1 than he does 9. Would I take him 1? Probably not. I think there's maybe like one case, like one scenario where he goes number 1, and maybe that's, I don't know though, because I think most teams would probably take Risache or Sarr, and so would I, over Topic right now. But Topic at 9 is incredible value for Utah to have him kind of pair up with Lauri Markkanen and company over there in Utah. So he's got Donovan Clingan going to the Thunder at 10. I know a lot of people are like, why do you have them taking a big? I see like that all the time on Twitter. I think it's Thunder fans. It's like, why do you have them taking a big? They're never going to do this. I don't know. Maybe they need a big. They didn't address it at the deadline. Why take another guard here? Like, I don't, unless Giddey's off the team next year. Like, you have Wallace, you have Joe, you obviously have Shea getting a ton of minutes. And then you got wings like Dort and J-Dub. I don't know. I think this team could probably benefit from getting a backup big for somebody like Donovan Clingan, who I do like to OKC. He's got championship pedigree, won one at UConn last year, could win one this year, and I think could be a serviceable backup for sure. And he's not going to be somebody that demands the ball by any means and needs to get his shots up. He could be somebody off the bench, play good defense, get some rebounds, run the pick and roll with some of their guards, and be done with it. So I like that pick, actually, Donovan Clingan to the Thunder at 10. So kind of going through here, no Jacoby Walter in the top 10. Very interesting stuff going through there. So, or Cody Williams. I guess I could have mentioned him. Yeah, no Cody Williams in the top 10 as he goes number 11 to Atlanta. I think like going back to some of these picks here, I don't hate the idea of Cody Williams to Portland. I don't hate the idea of Cody Williams to Charlotte. I don't hate the idea of Cody Williams to Memphis either. But I like Alex Sarr over Cody Williams. I don't really like the idea of Cody Williams going to Washington. Like I said, like him to Charlotte. Don't hate it to Portland. I wouldn't hate it to the Spurs, depending if like Keldon Johnson's back next year. I don't hate it to Houston either. Don't hate it to Utah. I don't even hate it to OKC because it's cool with the brother aspect. But if Atlanta can get Cody Williams at 11, that's a steal for sure. I would love that pick for them because they could have Cody Williams. They could have Jalen Johnson on the wings going forward and still have DeAndre Hunter there as well. You'd think they'd move on from either one of their guards, either Trey or DeJounte Murray. This offseason, will Bogdan Bogdanovic be back? They could go for backup center here if they're going to move on from Clint Capella, but with Cody Williams on the board, I would not do that, or even Jacoby Walter. Isaiah Collier going to the Bulls at 12. I really like Collier. He's turning him back into a top 10 prospect for me right now. I don't know if I like Chicago, man. Like, I think they have something with Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, and you may still have Zach LaVine next year. I just don't think Collier is going to have the chance to develop in Chicago, and we kind of saw this with Patrick Williams get drafted 4th overall back in 2020, where I think they didn't prioritize his development. They obviously added guys like Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan over the coming months and years. So I don't know if Collier will have a chance to shine in Chicago. I would maybe opt for a forward here. I love Tyler Smith of the G League Ignite. I mean, like prospect-wise, I have Collier higher. It's just now we're kind of looking more of a fit base, which I know is kind of weird. I don't think I would take Filipowski over Collier. I still like Collier's upside more than Filipowski, and I think Chicago needs to take somebody with high upside, and I think Tyler Smith could be that guy. I think even taking a chance on Jacoby Walter could be that guy as well. Or if they wanted a new center, go Yves Missi out of Baylor for sure. So at 13, Keyshawn George. Whoa. All right. Keyshawn George ahead of Ryan Dunn. I get it because of the floor spacing ability, his able to knock down shots. Him over Devin Carter, I'm not a fan of that. Portland going like, I guess George is more of a forward than Carter, but Carter could play up for sure. And he has them getting Matas Buzelis before. I mean, I would maybe look at Filipowski here if I were them because their center kind of duo is up in it's in limbo with Time Lord's injury concerns. They thought about moving him at one point. I don't think Aiden's the long-term answer. Keyshawn George 13. That's the highest I've seen him in any mock. This is also Kevin O'Connor, who I think had Bobby Klitman like in the lottery last year when he was going to go into the draft out of Wake Forest. And then to finish off the lottery, he's got Dalton Knecht going to the Lakers. So the Pelicans will have a chance to take this pick or can opt in for 2025. I think if it's at 14, the Pelicans should take it. Like, you'd have to think that the Lakers are better next year. You would think. I don't know, though. Maybe LeBron's not on their team next year and they would think so, but maybe they're better without LeBron. I don't know. Can they add some other guys? Who knows? So I think I would just take the sure lottery pick, especially, like, obviously you can't decide it on draft night, like the way the draft's falling. And then you're like, oh, I actually don't like anybody here. Let's opt in for 25. You have to make your decision before that. Connect to the Lakers. That would be a huge addition for them off the bench because he's just been phenomenal for Tennessee this year. And as they won the SEC regular season title. All right, so let's get into these non-lottery picks. Jared McCain is going to start off with the Heat here at 15. Wow, just kind of going through this. No Jacoby Walter in the lottery. That is definitely the lowest I have seen him yet. That is kind of insane. So Jared McCain, elite shooter out of Duke. He is somebody that can kind of come in right away. A little bit on the older side at 20, but he will be a sharpshooter right out of the gate. I'm decent size too at 6'3". And I think sometimes, in college, like him playing with Jeremy Roach and Caleb Foster and Tyrese Proctor and a lot of guards there, I feel like sometimes he's a bit passive. And I was watching Duke UNC and I'm like, why is Jeremy Roach taking a ton of threes? Like, why is Jared McCain getting phased out of this offense? And I know like TJ Powers came in, like good 3-point shooter, but Jared McCain should be like, he's elite from downtown. And I feel like, I don't know, John Shire kind of went away from him towards that end of that UNC game. And I think he is their second best player outside of Filipowski. Speaking of Filipowski, no Filipowski there in the lottery either. Interesting. So at 16, we finally got Jacoby Walter. I mean, Toronto could theoretically take Jacoby Walter at 6 or 5 if they kept their pick. So I think getting him at 16 is really good value. He had a phenomenal game against Kansas the other week. And obviously he's had his inconsistencies this year for Baylor. And I've started to like Walter a little bit more throughout the year. I think I was very indifferent on like Keontae George out of Baylor last year. And I tended on like not liking him as much as the consensus. But I think Walter, I like maybe even more than consensus. And I feel like he's got good size. He's a 3-level scorer. And I think at 16 is crazy value. 17, Knicks taking Kevin McCullough. I kind of hate this pick as a Knicks fan. I think like with Tyler Smith on the board, with Ryan Dunn on the board, with Devin Carter on the board, even with Yves Missi on the board, who's the next pick to the Sixers, I don't like Kevin McCullough. He's a fine scorer, but he's a little bit on the older side, and I don't know if the Knicks need somebody in his role right away. And if they do, there's maybe some other guys that are still available that they could look at here. But I mean, we've seen this offense with no Randall and no Anunoby. Like DiVincenzo and Josh Hart aren't those score first guys, and maybe that could be Kevin McCullough, but I'm not a huge fan of him as he's already 23. Yves Missi to the Sixers at 18. I'm fine with this too. I think like with them definitely needing to add some backup big man help, like let's go for Yves Missi. We don't really need to see that much Mo Bamba. Even B-Ball Paul's not too bad, but I think getting Yves Missi at 18 is pretty good value, and I think they should look for some insurance behind Joel Embiid with his injury history. Hunter Salas, whoa, to the Magic at 19. That is the highest I've seen him. I don't even know how many times I've seen him in the first round in mock drafts. I mean, this dude is a bucket getter. I think he's well worth an early second round pick. Like he's a fringe first rounder, but I have not seen him in the top 20. So that is definitely some shocking. He's an athletic guard, good size, good frame. I believe came over from Gonzaga playing for Wake Forest this year. Could contribute right away. It's weird because I don't hate it, but that is definitely shocking to see him there at 19. Kyle Filipowski going to the Hawks at 20. There's like probably mocks out there that have Filipowski going 11 to Atlanta. This pick is from Sacramento from the Herter deal, and I think Filipowski would be a great ad for them. Like, let's move on from Clint Capella. Let's have Filipowski be behind Onyeka Okongwu next year. So I don't mind that pick either. Tyler Smith. Okay, thank you. I like the Knicks getting Tyler Smith at 21. I would have preferred them getting him at 17 and Devin Carter at 21. But he's somebody that can handle the rock. He's 6'11". He's got a beautiful jumper, in my opinion, for somebody at 6'11". He's 19, and he's a good defender. I don't know why he's not going to go higher, and I doubt the Knicks make both first round picks. There's a chance they don't. No, because the Mavericks at the minimum are going to make the play-in. So unless they get insanely lucky, the Knicks will get the Mavericks pick because it is top 10 protected again. I love Smith for them. With the pending free agency of Hartenstein, they could definitely use a backup 4/5 next year. That definitely has more shot creating ability than a Jericho Sims, or even a Precious Achiuwa, who's been good for them. Devin Carter to the Suns at 22. I mean, they probably are a little bit upset with Tyler Smith off the board, Filipowski, and Yves Missi, because they could need a big man behind Yusuf Nurkic for sure. Some backup big man help. A little bit of an upgrade over maybe him long-term, or Drew Eubanks. But I love Devin Carter. This dude is a flat-out stud rebounder. He plays way taller than he actually is. It's weird, because on Fanspo, it doesn't get, like, it says he's like 65 feet tall. It's a glitch, and he's like the only guy with no height and weight here. Maybe he's just not listed on like Providence website. I don't know, but he's somebody that plays tall. He's a great rebounder. I don't think he's going to be like a phenomenal playmaker or floor general in this league, but he's basically, I think, like this year's Brandon Podziemski as well, and he can hit tough shots. Ryan Dunn going to the Pelicans at 23. I mean, you can throw out some lineups of Herb Jones and Ryan Dunn together. Ooh, that is beautiful. He does need to work on the shot though, because he could get played off the floor, but his defensive skills are there. I still like his offensive potential more than I did like of Matisse Thybulle coming out of Washington in 2019, but I think Ryan Dunn could really be somebody that could be an elite defender in this league, and him and Herb Jones next to each other would be phenomenal. But yeah, is his shot going to be there? Is it going to be there? Tristan Da Silva going to the Cavs at 24. Like this for them. A little bit on the older side, but somebody that's NBA ready, high IQ, knows what to do. Bucks getting Zach Edey at 25. I think I mocked this in my most recent 2-round mock. So I got this. Brook Lopez getting older. I think they need some backup big man help. Yeah, it mentions here he's 36 years old. And Edey, this is probably the range where I think he's going to go. Not in the lottery where Jonathan Givony of ESPN thinks he's going to go. Johnny Furphy going to the Wizards at 26. Don't mind them taking a chance on him. I've mentioned about it a bunch of times though, but I think he should stay another year at Kansas. And then could definitely turn into a top 15/lottery pick next year. So I think that should happen for Johnny Furphy. But I like this pick for Washington as they add Furphy and Castle in this class. Interesting draft for them. Tyler Kolek going to the Timberwolves at 27. I may have mocked this as well. I did think I definitely had a point guard going to them because with Monty Moore sitting for agency, Conley getting older, Kolek can come in right away and be a backup point guard for them. 28, Deron Holmes to the Nuggets at 28. I love this as well. I think Holmes could even be in play for the Suns at 22. I think he should probably go in the top 20. He is very skilled. He plays at a quote-unquote smaller, I mean, Dayton's not a smaller school. I mean, they could win the A-10, and then we're going to see him in the tournament again, but he is somebody that's very skilled around the rim. Could be like this year's Trace Jackson Davis, but is going to go a lot higher. 29, Jalen Tyson out of Cal. This dude is a flat-out bucket. Good size, good frame. He mentioned Danny Ainge selecting another Cal guy because he got Jalen Brown from Cal. Remember even Rob out of Cal as well? I remember Brown and Rob were always like two top guys, and then obviously Jalen Brown ended up much better. And then 30, he has Oso Ighodaro from Marquette going there at number 30. I like that fit for Boston as well because he's somebody that can come in right away and be good for them. So it was just a first-round mock, definitely interesting. But I respect Kevin O'Connor for going against the grain and being a little bit different. But just seeing Reed Sheppard number 1 overall was crazy. So hope you guys enjoyed me reacting to kind of his mock right there. He does have a big board out, which was updated on March 11th. So this was updated. So he's got Sar number 1. So does he just not like Sar over Sheppard? Because he has Sheppard 2, which is interesting. He's got Resache 3. He's got Topic 4. So why do you have him going 9 to the Jazz? He's got Cody Williams 5. But 11 to Atlanta. Interesting like combo between the mock and the big board. He's got Castle 6, Dillingham 7, Salon 8, Walter 9, and Devin Carter 10. What the heck? You're giving Carter the respect, which I love, but why is he going so low in the mock to the Suns? But I guess it's not that low. Buzelis, he has 11. Ron Holland, 12. Klingon, 13. Collier, 14. And then he's got Connect, 15. McCullough, 16. Keyshawn George, 17. He's definitely higher on George. But I think George, I mean, he's like probably late 20s for me right now, but he could rise up as I'm watching just kind of more Hurricanes games. Filipowski at 18, Salas at 19. I think I got to start watching more like Wake Forest film because I didn't really watch much of them this year. Not really a top prospect name, but like Salas obviously had a good game against Duke. That was the whole court storming fiasco a few weeks ago. He's got Ryan Dunn 20, Misi 21, Edey 22. Interesting. Jared McKay 23, Tyler Smith 24. I'm glad I'm higher on I think than the norm on Tyler Smith. I think he's going to be a top 15 guy from this class for sure. Tristan Da Silva 25, Oso Ighodaro 26, Furphy 27, Kolek 28, Kel'el Ware 29, who we didn't see in that mock, which is interesting because Kel'el Ware, I think, is underrated at this point for what he's done for Indiana this year. Jalen Tyson 30, and then he does have a full 60 or 50 guys here that I'm not going to just list out for you guys. So that was me reacting to Kevin O'Connor's Ringer mock draft. Hope you guys enjoyed that part of it, and now I'm going to give you guys my conference tournament predictions. So like I said, this is going to be more of a casual view on things, just kind of looking through these. Here we have the Pac-12 tournament. This is the final Pac-12 tournament before some of these teams go to the ACC, some go to the Big Ten, and they're just going to get scattered throughout college sports. So Arizona's the 1 seed. They went 24-7 this year, just kind of overall. They were 8-3 in quad 1 games. You have Washington State as the 2 seed. Shout out Colorado as the 3 seed, and then Oregon as the 4 seed. So we can kind of start off. I'm just going to give you guys who I think is going to advance, and then we'll go through these. Not like going to take too much time on them. So basically we have Washington versus USC that did play a few weeks ago. I like USC team. Like, I don't know. Like, I like Boogie Ellis a ton. I like Isaiah Collier. Obviously, we talked about him a little bit in the mock draft video. So I think there is a chance that they could end up winning this game. But I kind of like Washington. I feel like Washington is one of those teams that's pretty gritty. They play hard, and they have good shooters on their team as well. Just kind of going through it as the Big 12 tournament has already started. So hopefully I don't get that pick wrong. I think it's like UCF, Oklahoma State that's playing right now. But yeah, just kind of going through the Pac-12. I think I like Washington to end up winning it. They were slightly better than USC this year. But they were all kind of like in the middle of the pack between like so many teams were 9-11 in conference play and 8-12. So I got Washington advancing, beating USC. I'm gonna have UCLA beating Oregon State. Not a huge fan of Oregon State this year, just as a whole. I mean, they were the worst team in the Pac-12. Cal versus Stanford. This is Jalen Tyson's run, man. This is where he can definitely help his draft stock a ton. I think he's gonna carry California to beat Stanford, and then I do like Utah to beat Arizona State. So no upsets for me there. The only one would be USC over Washington. I am going to obviously have Arizona over Washington to advance. One of the best teams in college basketball. I don't think that they lose in the in their first game of Pac-12 play. UCLA versus Oregon. I like Oregon to advance as well, to move on to face Arizona on Friday, March 15th. Washington State versus Cal. I'm going to have the upstate for Cal. I know the Cougars have been good this year. I mean, they're 14-6 in conference play. They're 6-3 in quad 1 games. They're 3-4 in quad 2. I don't know how much I love them specifically to advance past Cal, who honestly has a lot of inconsistencies in their own right, and they haven't really shown up against good teams. But I think that's going to be my upset play. And then I'm going to have Colorado beat Utah. Like I said, this is a casual viewing thing. So if you're deep into Pac-12 basketball, I apologize if I'm upsetting you here. So we would have Arizona versus Oregon, and then we would have Cal versus Colorado. I'm going to have Colorado advance to the Pac-12 championship. Tristan DeSilva, KJ Simpson, Cody Williams, that trio is going to get it done. Hopefully Cody Williams can also make a name for himself, and hopefully he isn't as passive as we've seen him in the regular season. And then I like Arizona to beat Oregon, and I do think Arizona wins the conference championship. I promise I'm not going to pick every one seed to win it all, but I do think that Arizona is clearly the best team here in the Pac-12. So next up we will talk about the Big 12, which is currently going on right now. I believe, right? I think this is like one of the first games. No. Does the Big 12 start? You know what? The Big 12 might actually start right now. I'm just pulling it up on my end just to make sure. Yeah, you have Oklahoma State versus UCF. There's so many teams in the Big 12, man. We got 14 teams. I think next year, though, there's going to be some cuts throughout it as well. So kind of going through this. So we have Oklahoma State versus UCF. I like UCF to beat them to go on to face Baylor. Big 12 is probably the best conference this year in terms of just overall depth and like just top tier teams with Houston, Iowa State, BYU's been really good this year. Baylor, Kansas, even Texas, and like Texas Tech have been really respectable. Even like TCU, Cincinnati, Oklahoma have all been respectable as well. But I think UCF wins. They're going to face BYU. And then we have West Virginia versus Cincinnati. I'm going to take West Virginia to pull off the upset there and beat Cincinnati to advance to play Kansas. So we're going to roll through the top here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll get a little bit better visualization of it. But I do think that BYU is going to beat UCF, even though I do like UCF a ton, at least in this conference play. And they're, I think, a fringe tournament team, but probably not going to get in unless they win the Big 12 tournament. And they're going to advance to face Texas Tech. I like TCU to beat Oklahoma to advance to face Houston. I like Kansas State to pull off the upset. I think they play hard against teams better than them to beat Texas to advance to play Iowa State. And then I do like Kansas to beat West Virginia to face Baylor, a rematch from a couple weeks ago, which is obviously going to be a great game there. So we got Texas Tech going up against BYU. I kind of like BYU in this one, man. They're good. I know their quad 1 record isn't great. Texas Tech isn't much better either, and they just were a little bit better throughout conference play. I think BYU will beat Texas Tech to advance to face the winner of TCU and Houston, which it's going to be Houston for me. They've been the best team in college basketball for not most of the year, but it's been for a decent amount. Iowa State versus Kansas State. This could be crazy, but I like Kansas State to beat Iowa State. I am not a fan of Iowa State. I think they're a little bit overrated, but I could be completely wrong, and I could be looked like a fool, and then maybe the power of Brock Purdy, Georges Niang, and Tyrese Halliburton will prove me wrong. So we will have Houston versus BYU, and then we're going to have Kansas State versus the winner of Kansas and Baylor. I like Baylor a ton. I'm going to have Baylor beat them. And advance to the, I guess, Final Four of the Big 12 tournament. Baylor is going to beat Kansas State to advance to the Big 12 championship. And then I have Houston beating BYU to advance to the Big 12 championship. They played a great game a couple weeks ago. It went into overtime. Baylor really could have won that game. They came back as of late. And I think they're going to get it done. I think Baylor, they're going to be a team that I like a ton in the tournament. So maybe I hope they don't win the Big 12 tournament, so then everybody's not on them. But I do think Baylor gets it done and they win the Big 12 tournament. So we can hop to the SEC here. Not maybe as great as previous years, but, they actually have, I would say, like 6 good teams. I guess like compared to some other conferences, they are pretty good. With obviously at the top, like you have Tennessee winning the SEC. Auburn, I think, is really respectable. They play hard. They got another Jalen Williams on their team. Alabama is good. Can't count out Nate Oates. Kentucky has all the depth in the world, but will Calipari get it done? So we don't get nice logos here on this one, but Vanderbilt versus Arkansas, easy for me. I like Arkansas to advance, and Missouri versus Georgia. I like Georgia to advance as well. So Mississippi State, LSU. This could go either way, but I think Mississippi State is going to win. This, I think, might be my first 9-8 upset here in the conference tournament play. South Carolina, Arkansas. South Carolina, I'm going to have advance here to end up taking on Auburn. Mississippi State will be taking on Tennessee. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I think Ole Miss gets the upset on the road. They got off to a great start in like non-conference play. Not as good when conference play happened, but I think these teams are fairly similar and it could go either way. But I'm going to side with Ole Miss. And then Florida versus Georgia. I like Florida advance to take on Alabama. So Tennessee, Mississippi State. I'm going to rock with Tennessee. Dalton Connect and Kruger to get it done. South Carolina, Auburn. Man, this may be one of the best games of conference tournament play on Friday. This could go either way. Oh man, I like Auburn. I'm going to give Auburn the win there. We have Kentucky, Ole Miss. Kentucky for me. If Calipari doesn't win that, that's going to be so embarrassing. And then Alabama, Florida. I will have Alabama winning that one. So we have Alabama, Kentucky. These two teams like had a high scoring game a couple weeks ago. I think Kentucky gets it done. I mean, they have all the depth in the world. We'll see. Antonio Reeves can really kind of take control of this game, and we'll see how Reed Shepard and Rob Dillingham show up. Will they get good big man play out of Avicic and Aaron Bradshaw? And then Auburn, Tennessee. I kind of want to take Auburn in this one. I'm going to take Auburn to pull off the upset, man, and advance. It's going to be a scrappy game for sure, and that's how Auburn plays. And I'm going to have them advance to the SEC tournament or the SEC championship going up against Kentucky. And I'm going to have Auburn win it. I do. I don't think Kentucky gets it done. And I like Auburn to win the SEC. We're going to go a little bit different here. So we will hop over here to the ACC. This conference has probably been the worst out of the 3 that I've mentioned outside of the Pac-12. Definitely better than the Pac-12, but yeah, the ACC is not as good this year. It's not going to look, we're going to get more teams next year, but none of these teams are really leaving. Once I don't know, man. Like UNC and Duke could leave the ACC to go to the SEC, which would be kind of crazy because obviously for football, that's huge for them. But basketball, they got to lead together. Duke and UNC cannot be in different conferences. So Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. I like Georgia Tech to beat Notre Dame to advance there. We got NC State, Louisville, easy. NC State to advance. And then Miami, BC. I like Miami to pull off the upset. Shout out to Wooga Poplar and Keyshawn George to get it done. I actually do like Miami to make a little bit of a run here. So we got Virginia Tech, Florida State. I like Florida State to beat Virginia Tech to go up against UNC. Wake Forest. Did I take Notre Dame or Georgia Tech? Or I think I took Georgia Tech. Or either way, Wake Forest is going to advance to take on Pitt. That could also be a phenomenal game. Talked about that Auburn, South Carolina game. Pitt, Wake Forest could be really fun. 2 teams that are kind of on the bubble. Pitt especially trying to make the conference or the March Madness tournament. We got Syracuse versus NC State. I like NC State to beat Syracuse to advance to take on Duke. And then I like Miami to beat Clemson to take on Virginia. So we have UNC versus Florida State. Got to have UNC advance. They did win the ACC throughout the regular season. Pitt, Wake Forest is super fun, but I think Wake Forest is a little bit better than Pitt, and they end up getting it done and advancing to take on UNC. Duke, NC State. I like Duke to win that one. And then we got Virginia and Miami. As much as I want to take Miami, I'm not going to, and I'm going to take Virginia and their slow, methodical style of play to advance to take on Duke. So then we will have Duke, Virginia in the Final Four of the ACC tournament. I'm going to go with Duke. Duke's really good, man. Duke could win the whole thing, like March Madness. We'll see, though, how coaching goes. But they have all the talent in the world to do so. Wake Forest, UNC. As much as I like UNC, this could be an upset play. this could be an upset play. But I'm going to have UNC advance. Are definitely the two best teams this year in the ACC. UNC and Duke advancing. I'm probably disrespecting Clemson a ton in this, so I'm sorry, Clemson fans, having you guys lose to Miami, who could definitely just lose to Boston College. So UNC versus Duke. I think Duke gets it done. UNC's beaten them twice this year, and I think Duke will finally get a win against them, and probably the most important one, winning the ACC tournament. So next up, we will talk about the Big East, which is probably my favorite conference to watch this year for sure. Just being able to watch Providence and like Devin Carter a ton, watch Villanova a lot to start the year. Like Creighton is super fun. Like love Trey Alexander, who didn't really mention him in Kevin O'Connor's mock. He maybe should have been in there. Like the Johnnies are back. Shout out to St. John's being back. Marquette's been super fun and competitive, and obviously UConn being the wagon that they are. And then you have like bubble teams like Providence and Seton Hall trying to make the tournament as well. So Butler, Xavier. I think I like Xavier to get this one done. Both don't play well against good teams. Whoever wins this one is going to get probably blown out by UConn. Georgetown, Providence. This is the Ed Cooley matchup. The Georgetown coach, former coach of Providence. There's been a whole kind of drama this year with that. I think Providence gets it done, though. I do think that they are the better team than Georgetown. Georgetown's not very good. And then Nova against DePaul. DePaul ended up going 3-28 this year. And then when we pull up the exact amount of losses that they had in Big East play. But they didn't win a single Big East game. They went 0-20 in conference tournament play. So I'm going to have them winning the whole tournament now. Or in conference play. So Nova's going to beat them. This could be a really fun quarterfinals, man, on the 14th. So we got UConn versus, did I have Butler winning or I had Xavier? Why am I always forgetting these? I had Xavier winning. No. Did I have Butler or Xavier? Either way, I'm going to go Butler winning this. No. Yeah, I like Butler winning. Okay, sorry for switching that so much. Either way, UConn beats them, so it doesn't really matter. Seton Hall, St. John's could be super fun. I got the Johnnies, man. We got St. John's advancing to the semifinals. We got Creighton versus Providence. This is a fun matchup, too, but Creighton's really good, man. Bailey Shireman, Ashworth, Colt Renner, and then Trey Alexander. They're a deep team. They are. People might like them come March Madness time. But I'm going to have, Creighton beat Providence, and then Marquette beat Nova. So all the favorites, no, because I have St. John's winning. So we will have UConn, St. John's. This is what Big East basketball is all about, baby. I wish I could go there at MSG. Tickets are like $400, and then I got to factor in the $100 round trip Amtrak from Philly. And I'm like, I love Big East basketball, and I'd love to go there, but I don't know if I love it that much. But I'm going to have UConn beat St. John's to go to the Big East finale. And then we're going to have Creighton versus Marquette. I think Marquette gets it done. With Kolek healthy, Cam Jones been playing. Cam Jones, I'm going to butcher his name. Who am I thinking of? Because now I'm thinking of somebody that wait, let me just pull up. It's not, is it Cam Jones? Because that sounds like it's wrong, but it's, let me just see. Cam Jones, it is. Okay, so I was right. Stevie Mitchell, defensive wise, and then you got Cam Jones, who's just been a stud in the absence of Tyler Kolek, man, offensively. I think they beat Creighton, but that could be the best semifinals matchup in conference tournament play as well. Marquette, UConn. UConn's a wagon, man. They get it done. They win the Big East, and they just beat Marquette, even though Marquette did not have Tyler Kolek. Last notable tournament we will do is the Big Ten, maybe the most boring conference to watch. I'm not a fan of Big Ten basketball this year. They don't have many good teams either. I know in terms of net rating, they're second, kind of pretty much from Purdue. I mean, they have a lot of bubble teams as well, like Iowa, throughout the year, Ohio State. Northwestern, Nebraska has been good. Michigan State had a lot of preseason hype, but kind of fell off a little bit. Rutgers, Maryland. I like Maryland to beat them. And then Michigan and then Penn State. I like Penn State. Play kind of slow style play to win that. Indiana, Mike Woodson gets it done. They're going to face Nebraska. Ohio State, Iowa. I like Ohio State to play Illinois. Wisconsin, Maryland. I'm going to go with Wisconsin to take on Northwestern. And then Minnesota versus Michigan State. I think Michigan State gets it done, and they're going to take on Purdue. This could be an 8-1 upset, but no, Purdue's really good, man. Zach Edey, Braden Smith, phenomenal point guard this year. Purdue wins this one. Northwestern versus Wisconsin. I like Northwestern to win this one, setting up a rematch with Purdue here. And they've had some entertaining games this year. Ohio State, Illinois. Illinois wins this one. And Nebraska, Indiana. Nebraska wins this one. I think this is pretty much going to be it's going to come down between Purdue and whoever obviously wins the bottom. Purdue's going to, I think, beat Northwestern. And I think it's going to be a good game between Nebraska and Illinois. But shout out to the Cornhuskers, man. I think that they're going to go to the Big Ten Championship to take on Purdue. But Purdue is going to win this one. So I wanted to go through how many 1 seeds I had winning this. So I had Purdue 1 seed win. I have UConn 1 seed winning. I have Duke 2 seed winning. Okay. I had... who did I have? I think I had Auburn winning the SEC tournament. So that's a 4 seed. Shout out to parity there. I had Baylor as a 3 seed winning, and I had Arizona as a 1 seed winning the Pac-12. So the last one we're going to talk about is the American. Maybe not even the like 6th best conference where they've been in past. Like you could say the Mountain West is better. The West Coast could be better. The Atlantic 10 could be better. But I'm going to talk about the American that has not many good teams. This conference used to have Cincy and Houston. They're going to lose SMU. I moved to the ACC. And I'm a Temple fan, and they've been bad this year. There's even like a gambling like scandal going on with them right now, which is kind of weird. But they've been so bad. So I just kind of wanted to predict the American because that's my alma mater, Temple Owls. They were competitive throughout conference play, but not great. So Rice, Wichita State. I got Rice beating them. And then UTSA, Temple. We're going Temple to beat UTSA in which a game that I think Temple... They just beat UTSA, right? Yeah, 84-82. So they get a rematch there, which sets up Temple SMU, which, you know what? We're going Temple over SMU. Why not? Let's see. When they played each other this year, Temple lost 77-64. Not great, but I'm going with the upset there. Why not? I'm biased, 100%. Tulsa, East Carolina, we're going Tulsa. And then Memphis, Rice, we're going to go Memphis. Tulane, North Texas, we're going Tulane. Pull off the upset. So Temple versus 3, Charlotte. They lost 73-70. God damn, I want to take Temple. I do. Screw it. Who's going to get mad at me for taking Temple? The 11-seeded Owls, to be completely biased here in advance to the semifinals, to take on FAU, who I think is going to be Tulane. UAB versus Memphis could be fun. I like UAB to advance. They've been good this year. And then South Florida is going to beat Tulsa. So South Florida versus UAB. South Florida, they've been good, but I think UAB could pull off the upset. Yeah, I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to take UAB over South Florida, and then Florida Atlantic versus Temple. This is where their magic runs out, and we're going to have Florida Atlantic win. When they played each other, Florida Atlantic won 80-68. So then you're going to have Florida Atlantic, the 2 seed, versus UAB, the 4 seed. We're going to have FAU win it and be back in March Madness. So that is going to be it for kind of my conference tournament predictions. That was a ton of them there. Thank you guys for all watching and listening on YouTube, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would appreciate a rating and review over there as well. So drop a like if you guys did enjoy this content on YouTube. And then on Friday, I think I'll have like 5 things Friday coming out too, where I'm going to talk about kind of different topics around the NBA, from trades, from offseason decisions to playoff runs to lineup decisions. That should be fun. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll catch you guys there. Peace.